Picture this scenario. There's an exam coming up and there's two different people. The first guy actually works hard, studies, and understands everything, and you think they're more likely to pass. And the second guy decides not to really study. And they're like, if I wanted to, I would. If I really studied, I'd be the smartest guy in the class. And so they live in their own comfort. And what do you expect to happen? They don't do as well. And when they don't do as well, what do they say? It's okay. I'm not really trying my best. So if I tried, I know I would do better. Well, my friends, the second guy is something we call complacent. Complacency basically means that you're too comfortable in your own life to realize it. And complacency ruins your life. Trust me, I would know. Nobody wakes up one day and decides to ruin their life. It often happens slowly. You stop pushing yourself, you stop dreaming bigger, and you start becoming okay with good enough. And before you know it, years have actually passed, and now you're not living the life that you dreamt of. And that's the danger of complacency. See, let me explain. Complacency is basically when you're too overconfident. When you're too comfortable with where you're at, so you stop trying. You're okay with having a B, you're okay with just good enough. You're satisfied by mediocre results, knowing you could have done better, but you're like, oh, it's okay. I'm complacent with that. It's fine. I don't really care. But in reality, your dreams are waiting for someone to come, and that person will never show up if you're always complacent. And let me tell you one thing. Complacency doesn't come fast. It starts slowly. You start skipping your gym sessions. You start saying, I'll do things tomorrow. Relax. You're good enough. You've done enough already. A voice like that, a small, still voice like that. That's how complacency starts. And then slowly, your standards begin to fall. You don't have high standards anymore. You just settle for any standard that's possible. And this leads to another thing. Growth stops. Growth stops the moment you start being comfortable, because growth often happens when you're uncomfortable. So if you're not going through uncomfortable situations, if you're not pushing yourself to do better than you would, you stop growing. When you start settling for less, you start living a life of comfort. The moment comfort becomes your main goal, growth begins to disappear. Because growth requires discomfort, discipline, risk, pressure, and if you're not taking any of those, then there's simply no growth happening in your life. And this may sound very harsh, but this is like a slow reality that creeps in. And I always believe that it's not your fault, neither is it anyone else's fault. It's the social media that we consume today, because you have dopamine that's readily available. You don't even have to chase dopamine anymore. You just keep scrolling. It's there. And nobody becomes great by constantly choosing the easiest option. The greatest people, think of Cristiano Ronaldo, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. They all had to choose the difficult situations. They all had to practice when no one was watching, so that they can perform in the high stakes situation. So if you start choosing comfort right now, then growth was never your priority. It was never who you're destined to be. You are never destined to grow if the life you live is a life of comfort. Because there's often this saying that tough times create tough men create easy times create soft men, and soft men create hard times. And it becomes a cycle like that, where if you're not going through difficulties, your life becomes soft. And if your life is soft, you become soft, And when you become soft, that's where your life starts to fall down. It seems like a good thing at first, but that's when your dreams start to go down. And complacency sort of makes time disappear, because it steals your life in small increments. One more, I'll do it later. One more, okay, let me do it tomorrow. Let me rest for now. And you find that 5 years have gone down the line, and you're just extending your deadlines. You're just pushing something because there's no sense of urgency within you. There's no urgency that I need to do this now. I'm in a high stakes situation and I need to do this so that I can achieve my dreams. But if you're always comfortable with where you're at, there will always be no room for growth, because how can you grow if you don't see what you need to change? And you should ask yourself this question. If your current habits repeated for the next 5 years, would you be happy with where you ended up? Like what you do on your day-to-day basis. If it repeated for the next 5 years, your daily routines, would you be where you wanted to be? And always remember that your potential does not disappear overnight. It dies quietly. It becomes buried under comfort. It becomes buried under excuses. It becomes buried under routines that make you feel safe but keep you small. And just like every other problem in life, there's always a solution. You still have time, but you don't have unlimited time. You know, time is there, but who knows what's gonna happen tomorrow? That's why the best time to take action is today, right now. Probably after watching this video, if there's something you're putting off or if you've been sleeping on your potential, well, get up, work on it. You know, you still have time, but the time is very limited. That's the catch. And the life that you want will never be built by the version of you that keeps choosing comfort over growth. So start now. Not when you feel motivated, not next Monday, not tomorrow. Just start now. Because complacency doesn't destroy people instantly. It destroys them slowly. We live in a world that's designed to keep you in your comfort zone. You know, endless scrolling, endless entertainment. But it's up to you to break free of those barriers. It's up to you to take charge of your life and decide, I'm gonna be the captain of my own ship. You decide what happens next in your life. Like, you know, the direction your life is headed to. Is it something you're proud of? And if it's not, you still have the choice to steer your ship. Don't let someone else steer your ship for you. Don't let social media dictate what you're gonna do and what you're not gonna do. Because at the end of the day, you live a very unique life. You know, no one has your life. And if you spend your life following what other people are doing, you're just part of the herd. You know, if you now wake up and you start to make choices off of your own reasoning, you start to do things off of your own will, and you're like, okay, I want to do this because this makes me happy, or because this is what resonates with me. For example, I really like fashion. I may not be the best at it, but I just think the art of dressing good is something very cool, you know, and I try to implement that in my outfit. It may not be the best, as I said, but it's the fact that I try. Even if it's not a 10 out of 10 for someone else, I think it's a 10 out of 10 for me. And such simple things where you take control of your life in such small increments is what matters. You don't have to do things on a larger scale. Even starting small is enough. So break free from all this complacency. Break free from all the distractions, because while you're distracted, your dreams are waiting for a version of you that never arrives. That sums up our conversation for today about complacency. If you really like the video, please consider liking and subscribing. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It seems like a very big milestone, but I think it's possible. First of all, if I become consistent. I usually upload these YouTube videos once a month, and I feel like I need to be doing even 4 times in a month. But guys, it's exam season. I'm working really hard because who loves exam season? I hate exam season. So yeah, please subscribe, please leave a like, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye. Mini interlude I have noticed as I'm now editing, and my editor Natha, shout out to him, he's the best editor ever. The lighting keeps shifting in different scenes. That's because the sun keeps going behind the clouds and like coming out, so it looks bright and dark in certain instances. So I'm sorry if the quality is very sketchy or is sketchy in some parts. My apologies. But yeah, back to the video.